My daughter on the swings. The creaking came first, metal against metal, a sound I hadn't heard in months, but one my body remembered. I froze in the center of that empty playground, staring at the rusting swings that had not moved when I arrived. The air was dead. No children, no laughter, just the steady groan of chains rocking back and forth in rhythm. Then the whisper, soft, strained, breaking through the silence. "Daddy, Mom pushed me too hard." My throat closed, my chest locked. The voice was hers, my daughter's, the one buried at 6, the one I still dreamed about every night. I turned, and she was there. Small legs dangling, hair drifting in the autumn wind, face pale as ash, but eyes alive, too alive. She looked straight at me, as if I had never left her side. "It was her," she said again, chains squealing with each sway. "It was Mom." My wife's words echoed inside me, colliding with the scene before me. I can't drive past that place. I can't breathe there. I thought it was grief. I thought it was love. But standing there, trembling, I felt something colder spreading through me. Suspicion. That night, my wife asked me why my hands were shaking at dinner. I told her it was the coffee. She smiled too quickly, too rehearsed. Her plate stayed mostly untouched. She spoke of the new city, of how we should move on. She used that phrase often, move on, as if memory were something you could fold into a box and bury. But my daughter's voice stayed lodged in me like broken glass. I couldn't ignore it. The image of her small body arcing forward on those swings, the sound of laughter cutting short. My wife had said she turned away for a second. She'd said it with tears, with conviction, and I had believed her. But now, every detail began to taste differently. How quickly she sold the house, how fiercely she demanded distance, how she refused to talk about that day, shutting down any word that touched the memory. "I just want us to heal," she'd said, but the word heal sounded less like comfort, more like concealment. The voice of my daughter echoed. It was her. I studied my wife across the table, the way her hands trembled when she lifted her glass, the way her eyes avoided mine, and I wondered, not if my daughter's voice was real, but if it was a truth I had refused to see. I began small, quiet, the way you probe a wound without letting anyone see the blood. At night, when she showered, I searched her drawers. Bank statements, prescriptions, receipts. Nothing yet. I drove past the old house. The new owners had painted it pale yellow, erased the cracks from the siding, but the swings were still there. I stood across the street for nearly an hour, waiting, listening. The next week, I ordered the police report. It arrived folded, neat, clinical. Accidental fall. Witness, mother present, father at work. I read it until the words blurred. But a note in the margin caught me. Initial statement differed. Mother said child jumped. Later, she changed it. Jumped. I tested my own memory. The day of the funeral, she clung to me, whispering that our daughter had slipped. Slipped. Never jumped. Her language had changed. Why? I checked her phone records from that month. A call repeated. Same number. Right before the accident, right after. A name I didn't know. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I asked gentle questions at night. "Do you ever dream of her?" Her face stiffened. "Not anymore." "Do you?" "Always." She kissed my cheek quickly, turning away before I could study her eyes. The weight of silence grew heavier each day, and beneath it, the steel of certainty began to take shape. The truth arrived in fragments, like a mirror breaking piece by piece. First, the number, registered to a man from her office. Long calls, evenings when she said she was working late. Then, the journal hidden in her closet. Not detailed, but telling. Short lines scrawled in haste. He understands me. He listens. Another entry, what if I told him? And the final fracture, an old draft in her email. Unsaved, unsent. I'm trapped. I don't love him anymore. But the child ties me down. Sometimes I wonder what life would be without her. Without her. My chest hollowed as I read it again. She hadn't slipped. She hadn't jumped. She had been pushed. And my wife had written her freedom into existence. I didn't rage. I didn't shout. That would have given her power. Instead, one evening, I laid the printed email draft on the table between us. No words, no explanation. She froze, staring at the paper. Her fork slid from her hand and clattered against the plate. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Finally, a whisper. You weren't supposed to. I cut her off with silence. Silence heavier than any curse. Her face broke. Eyes wet, skin drained, mouth trembling with the weight of collapse. I watched her crumble, calm and detached, the way a surgeon might observe a failing patient. She wanted denial, wanted me to beg for clarity. Instead, I gave her nothing, only truth, laid bare. And in that silence, she realized something worse than exposure. She realized I had seen her, entirely, and I would never see her again. I left her there at the table, folded over her own ruin. No goodbye, no farewell. As I walked out, the air outside felt colder, sharper, but clean. For the first time since the accident, my chest filled without collapse. I drove back to the playground. The swings were still, silent. No voice this time, no whisper. She didn't need to appear again. The truth was already carved into me. I sat on the bench, staring at the empty chains, and spoke aloud once. I know. Then I rose, turned my back to the place where my daughter had fallen, and walked away. Not free, not healed, but awake. And that was enough.